Hi again, folks. In this video, what are the 5 most misused cliches in today's NHL? Coming up. All right, folks. This is just something that came into my head and I wanted to do it because some of this stuff drives me nuts. And I want to talk about it because these cliches can drive a guy crazy. Give me one sec before we get started. But I came up with, maybe you guys can point out some cliches I should have thought of, because these are just ones that kind of stood out for me that terms that we use, wordings that we use, that drive me a little crazy as a fan. They do. Maybe they wouldn't have bothered me so much if I was like in my 20s or something, and I would have grew up with these cliches, but I didn't grow up with these cliches, so they drive me crazy. Okay. Number 5, there's 5 of them. I'm going to work my way up to what I think is the worst, most misused cliche in the NHL right now. So you guys try and guess that one before I get to number 1. Number 5, lower and upper body injury. Now guys, this drives me crazy. It drives me nuts. What happened to the days, maybe Mike Phelan can answer this. What happened to the days, Mike, where you say he has a shoulder injury, he has a neck injury, he has a chest injury, he has a bicep injury, or he has a groin injury, he has a knee injury. Now it's upper and lower body. Like we're the KGB or something. And we're going to do this whole spy network on the world and let everybody know that, we find out things about the NHL players, guys, that come out all the time. So we know, even a channel this small will have a good idea. If we're watching a game, we seen a guy get hit in the head. Like, remember when Schaefer hit Connolly, right? We knew it was a concussion, but they wouldn't tell us. That's way back in 06. This has been going on for way too long. This drives me crazy. And this isn't us as fans guilty. This is the NHL that's guilty with this one. Now, I'll get into where I think as fans and armchair GMs where we mess up way too often with cliches. So that's number 5. Number 4, the pure goal scorer. Guys, I've seen them say this about guys that get 30, 35 goals now. Oh, he's a pure goal scorer. Or he's a natural goal scorer. But it's a pure goal scorer you hear now. And I'll tell you right now, in this NHL, we have 1. Okay, and please don't tell me it's Alex Ovechkin, because he's not a pure goal scorer. He is an absolute beast of a power forward goal scorer, is what he is. This guy is going to probably come close to Gretzky's record, if he doesn't break it, with like a 10 to 12% shooting percentage, which is not very good. But he's so big and strong out there still to this day. The guy's gray and he's still a muscle-bound guy, still strong as hell. He can still command the game physically when he's on the ice. I mean, if you think you don't need physical players, Alex Ovechkin's a reason, guys. Just go look at him, please. And I've seen people actually say that's not a power forward. Oh no, he's a goal scorer. He's not a power forward. Oh my goodness. You never seen this guy lay out hits in the middle of the ice? You remember how angry it used to make other teams? I would say that there's only one absolute pure goal scorer in the NHL, and that's Austin Matthews. Austin Matthews is way more of a pure goal scorer than Alex Ovechkin ever was. Austin Matthews is the real deal when it comes to that. Austin Matthews could hit 70 goals one year. He's that good. This is going to be the first guy to get paid more, I'm going to predict, more than Connor McDavid when he goes on the open market, because he's going to Toronto. Sorry, but I think his time in Toronto is coming to an end. I'm actually sure of it. He's not going to stay in Toronto. I'd be very surprised if they extend him. So pure goal scorer. They'd have to pay him $14 million, by the way. Pure goal scorer is way overused. Way overused. All right. Here's where a lot of us are guilty, including me. A bust. How often, guys, do we term players as busts way too soon in this league? Way too soon. I see it way too soon. Like there's many times where we'll call a guy a bust. If he's 24 years old and under, how can you say he's a real bust unless his name's Nylander? There's not, it has to be very obvious. I mean, I seen Sabres fans calling, and I got the proof in the notes, guys. I'm a nice guy, so I don't make clips of that and then make videos later, but I can show you proof that Sabres fans say he's a bust, we got to get rid of him. And not understanding, but these are fans probably in their 20s that don't get it, that sometimes it takes till they're 25, a defenseman, 27, before they really show up. Yeah, might take Dahlin, guys, 3 or 4 more years before we see the guy, the vision that we had that we drafted, the beast that we thought we were drafting. It might take him 3 or 4 more years. Forget next year. 3 more years. Got to be patient. Go with the plan, guys. And defensemen, don't forget, and goalies can play older in this league than the forwards can. The forwards produce earlier. The defenseman and the back end, the goalie, produces later. It's just kind of the way it's always been in hockey. It's kind of always been that way. But terming somebody a bust, unless they're like 26, 27, and they're just not capable of getting more than 10 goals in a year, and they were drafted in the top 10 as a forward that was supposed to score, how do I call somebody a bust, right? So a bust, we got to be, I say, a little lenient with once in a while. Now, here's the last 2 guys. It drives me nuts, okay? Number 2, the dreaded generational player. The dreaded generational player. And I'm going to go right on the record and say it. Jack Eichel's not a generational player, guys. We thought he was, but he's not. He might be a franchise player. That's different, And franchise player, we can say a little more loosely. But just the other day, you heard in the interview with Tkachuk, Zito saying that Matthew Tkachuk is a generational player. And it's like, oh my goodness. So everybody's generational players now. That's the point here. Everybody's a generational player. When did this start? Everybody wants to overdo it. It's just drives me nuts. It does. There's been 2 generational players, I would say, that I've seen recently. One of them is named Sidney Crosby, and the other one is Connor McDavid. That's it. That's it. I'm not going to say there's anybody else because there's no proof of it. Like, we know as Sabres fans, Rasmus Dahlin is most likely going to be a generational defenseman in this NHL. But we're not there yet. He just might turn out to be a franchise NHLer. That was great, headed to the Hall of Fame one day. But generational meaning dominating his position? No, I won't even say that, guys, about any other defenseman in this league. Not even Cale Makar. And he's done it all. I want to see what happens as his career unfolds. Could be injuries that hinder him the rest of his career. It could be that he had the quick start and then he just kind of stays like this. But Cale Makar shows all the signs. That I will say. Cale Makar shows all the signs of a generational blue liner. He does. He's done it all so far. We know that. But how would Rasmus Dahlin look on that Colorado team, guys? Think about that. Okay. And number 1, the worst of the bunch that I hear, okay? Let me get this book down before I cop a resentment and not have any sleep over this, is they're a dynasty. I don't know how often, guys, I've heard teams that have won 1 cup referred to as a dynasty, or teams that have won 3 cups. And like I've seen even New Jersey fans call their team a dynasty back in the day when they didn't even win 2 cups in a row. And I don't even think 2 cups in a row qualifies. That for me, Tampa Bay could win this year coming the cup, and I'll never term them a dynasty. For me, guys, and that's myself because I grew up in the city of Montreal with the original dynasty here in Montreal. And a dynasty was very, very clear in the book. The NHL, the Montreal Canadiens, a hockey dynasty, you had to win 3 in a row. It's very clear. And now all of a sudden, I don't know, this watered down version of dynasty came in. This generation of kids started calling a team like, I don't know, it could be anybody. It could be a team that's won and then went to the finals and then lost again in the finals. 2 years later, win another cup, and they're a dynasty now. It's like, no, no. No, dynasty for me, should be reserved for a team that wins 3 cups in a row. That I will always believe, because it's what I grew up in the atmosphere of believing, you know, especially in Montreal, when the greatest dynasty ever put together was going on. It really was. You know where this dynasty thing, I believe, started getting watered down? With the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton won 5 out of 7. That is not a dynasty. A dynasty for me is consecutive titles. 2 consecutive titles doesn't qualify. Yes, 2, loss, 2, loss, 1. Era. One of the most dominant eras in NHL history. But for dynasty, I don't know. It was always, for me, reserved 3 in a row. That's always how I'll live it, guys. All right. That's it. There's my little rant on all that stuff, but it drives me crazy, some of this stuff. I will see you in the next video.